Hello, boxing fans. Welcome to another episode of World Championship Boxing. And today we are talking about the greatest performances of
Wilfredo Vasquez Sr., as his son was a journeyman boxer that he trained. Wilfredo Vasquez Jr.
Why don't you give us just like overall in boxing history what he's known for?
There's been several Puerto Rican fighters that won divisions in three weight classes. He's one of them. A 21-year career, and he fought everybody, and he is one of the biggest punches in the history of Puerto Rican boxing. That left hook of his is on the level of a Felix Trinidad, or Miguel Cotto, or Wilfredo Gomez. Spectacular left hook. And you see Wilfredo Vasquez's style is the typical great Puerto Rican boxer style. His style is very similar to a Tito Trinidad, to a Miguel Cotto, to a Wilfredo Gomez, where when he's aggressive, he just keeps coming, body puncher, and a great chin, and it's incredible how 21-year career, and he was in a lot of wars, and today he's very lucid, a boxing commentator as well as a trainer, a testament, just unreal, as the man is. He'll be 60 years old this year.
In terms of his size, usually taking on bigger opponents and somehow getting them to get into a firefight with him when it would have been wiser to stay outside.
He's 5'4.5", so he's usually the shorter guy, and he's the shorter guy in all three of these fights that we'll be talking about. And it's not rocket science to beat this man.
Right.
If you are a mover, you move. You stay away. You use your length. You use your jab, and you keep him at distance. It's funny. The only guy I ever saw successfully do that against him was a guy that was shorter than him in the 5'2" Nassim Hamed, who ran circles around him before knocking him out. These other guys, they just want to be in the trenches with him, and you're susceptible to that spectacular left hook of his.
Yeah, for some reason he gets people to get in a phone booth with him, and then he just takes them out. I mean, that's bottom line, because he's nobody's better at the phone booth fight than he is.
Yeah, he was a tremendous. You can make an argument, and right now I would say, yeah, because Tito Trinidad wasn't a great inside fighter. Tito Trinidad was usually taller than most of his opponents, and he would knock you out from outside. Inside fighting, you can make an argument that he's the greatest Puerto Rican inside fighter of all time. The man, I mean, inside, he bangs that body, and he throws that left hook like a sledgehammer.
Yeah, but the secret, I know, because as being a boxer, when you keep your elbows in and your hands up, they can't see those punches coming. You know, it's like your elbows telegraph where your fist is going. And that's why they always tell you to keep your elbows in. And I've never seen a greater elbows in fighter than this guy, because he just shoots that shit out.
You're not lying. You are not lying. Tremendous infighter and tremendous chin. And he had a great career. He'll never get inducted into the International Box Hall of Fame because the standards are so high now. It's going to be hard. I'm not even sure if he's on the ballot. But now you have only three modern fighters can be inducted, and there's so many fighters that had better careers than him that haven't gotten in. Plus, every year you have two or three great fighters that are eligible for the first time on the ballot. So the only way we'll see him inducted is probably years later on the when they do the Legends ballot or the Old Timers ballot. But as far as modern, he's not getting in. But no shame, because he's on our podcast Hall of Fame, as we only do the best on this greatest performances in boxing history.
Yes, Wilfredo Vasquez. Why don't you talk about the three fights that we're going to be talking about?
From March 27th, 1992, a rematch against Raul Perez for Raul Perez's Super Bantamweight Championship. Then the first fight against Theory Jacob, December 5th, 1992, and his title-winning effort for the featherweight championship against a reigning champion from Venezuela, Eloy Rojas, May 18th, 1996. And that fight, Me and my father ripped and roared through that fight. Wilfredo Vasquez Sr., there's only one. Just like there's only one Julio Cesar Chavez, there's only one Wilfredo Vasquez. Wilfredo Vasquez was a favorite of my father's. My father loved Vasquez because my father was an amateur boxer, and my father always said that his style was very similar to Vasquez and Trinidad's. More like Vasquez because my father had a chin. My father had a great chin. One time, this was like 35 years ago. He was playing dominoes with a bunch of young kids, and he took their money. He beat them for their money. Then one of the guys said, "Nah, man, you got to give some of the money back," and he fucked the kid up. The kid was 18 years old. As he was going home, they came at him and they jumped him and they hit him with a baseball bat. And witnesses around there could not believe my father did not drop. He had a kid like a baseball bat.
Wow.
So my father always said that while Trinidad and Vasquez's styles were like a combination of what he was, it was more like Vasquez because he had a better chin than Trinidad. So yeah, my father loved Vasquez, and Vasquez kind of favors my father a little bit. I mean, with the mustache and the olive oil skin.
Hey man, yeah, I thought it was you in there, man. I was like, is that one Silva?
Yeah, he does look like a relative of mine. Wilfredo. So there you go, Wilfredo Vasquez. And so we'll be talking about, real quickly, Vasquez, unlike most Puerto Rican fighters, most Latin fighters, Mexicans, Colombians, Venezuelans, most fighters from Central America, South America, and the Caribbean start fighting very young, 10, 11, 12. He didn't take up boxing until he was 18 years old. So and right away he excelled. But maybe that's why when he turned pro at the age of 21, Logan, he lost his very first professional fight, and which is no shame. Bernard Hopkins and Jeff Chandler, two of the fighters, two of the greatest fighters of all time, guys that we talked about in this podcast, both members of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. They both lost their first professional fight. So no shame. He lost his first professional fight and had a draw in his fourth professional fight. So after 4 fights, his record was 2-1-1. Not a great start to a career. Then he had 19 consecutive wins before getting his first shot at a world championship against another guy that we've talked about on this podcast, one of the greatest fighters to ever come out of Colombia, Miguel Happy Lara. He was overmatched. Lara beat the hell out of him, stopped him in the 4th round. After losing to Lara, he was able to garner, and this was at the bantamweight division, 118 pounds, he was able to garner an elimination fight against former world champion Antonio Avilar in one of the greatest fights in boxing history, a fight that we covered on the greatest fights in boxing history. Avilar and Vasquez, there was no defense whatsoever in this fight. This was pure savagery. Both men threw one rainmaker after another in an incredible war. Unbelievable war. May 30th, 1986, Avilar stops Vasquez in the 8th round, and because of that win, Avilar was able to get a shot at Lara. Vasquez was unable to get the rematch with Lara. But Vasquez went back to the drawing board, won 4 consecutive fights, and then got a shot at the WBA bantamweight champion, Chan Park Young, and stopped him in the 10th round to win his first world championship, October 4th, 1987. Unfortunately, there is no footage of that fight, so I was unable. That would have been definitely one of his greatest performances, but there's no footage. I don't have a tape of that fight, and that fight's nowhere to be seen. So I've never got to see that fight. I just know, according to reports that I've read, that he fought his ass off in winning that title. His first defense, it was against Japanese Takuya Muguruma, and it was a 12-round draw. Most people that were there said that it was no draw, that Vasquez dominated the fight. Muguruma got the draw because the fight was in Japan. And we know, Logan, 99 times out of 100, if you go to somebody's backyard and they scored a draw, you won the fight. You got robbed.
Right. Yeah.
So, but then he would lose his title in his next fight on May 9th, 1988. He goes to Thailand and he gets robbed against Kyoka Galaxy, whose brother Kayose Galaxy, a guy that we also did a podcast on, the greatest fight ever come out of Thailand. Kyoka, the younger brother of Kayose, wins a disputed split decision, and there goes the first title reign done. And after that, he would fight Raul Perez for the first time, lose a 10-round decision, and now Vasquez is in a crossroads of his career, as he has lost 2 consecutive fights. After beating up 2 bums, he gets knocked out by future world champion Israel Contreras in the first round. An anomaly in Vasquez's career. He got knocked out cold. The only time he was put to sleep, a sturdy chin, he walked into a shot, boom, out. Contreras knocks him out in the first round, and everybody's thinking, because he's lost 3 of his last 5 fights, that Vasquez's career is over. But whenever somebody has ruled Wilfredo Vasquez out, he always comes back. Very similar to an Evander Holyfield or years later Miguel Cotto. You think his career is over, and he comes back like a Lazarus. He rises from the dead. After getting knocked out in the first round by Contreras, Vasquez would win 3 consecutive fights, and then move up to super bantamweight and get a shot at the man who defeated him at bantamweight, Raul Perez. March 27th, 1992, the very first fight we talk about in his greatest performances.
So talk about his opponent here a little bit.
Perez was a very good fighter. Perez only, in 53 fights, he had only had 2 losses. He was the reigning champion. He had just defeated Luis Mendoza to win the title, and his defense against Vasquez was his first defense. Perez was a prohibitive favorite because he had outboxed Vasquez a couple years prior to this fight. And people thought that Vasquez was not the same fighter that he was at bantamweight when Perez beat him. Perez made that mistake. As from the opening bell, Perez is a nice boxer. He allows Vasquez to get inside, and he engages in a firefight, and he is battered for the entire fight. Second round, he gets dropped by what? A beautiful short left hook. And then in the third round, a spectacular left hook drops him, and I'm shocked that he got up. He gets up, and he gets pound driven into the canvas by what? Another left hook. Referee says, man, fuck this. Fight's over. Wilfredo Vasquez is now a 2-division champion, as he is now the WBA super bantamweight champion.
Another guy, much taller.
Yeah, well, the first time they fought, Logan, he boxed beautifully against Vasquez. He had the right formula. This time, I guess he read the press clippings, or he figured out, man, I beat this guy easily the first time. He got knocked out in the first round after I beat him. Let me go and put this guy into retirement. No, Perez was put in the pasture, as Perez only fought a couple more times after this fight.
And he got fucked. Let's talk about his strategy. He goes in there. He doesn't throw that many jabs. He counter punches, tries to get you in a firefight.
He comes right at you. Vasquez is similar to Wilfredo Gomez. Wilfredo Gomez was a better boxer, but Gomez, when he stalked you, was very similar to Vasquez. Tito Trinidad, except Trinidad utilized his jab more than Vasquez. Very similar to those type of fighters. Miguel Cotto, late in his career, he stalks you. He keeps coming. Tremendous body puncher. He gets you inside. You mentioned about how he dug his elbows in, which makes his body punches even more effective. Those hooks to the body are devastating. And he keeps coming at you. And you could be kicking his ass, as you'll see in these fights. And he keeps coming and breaks you down.
And he seems to counterpunch a lot. Like he waits for you to throw something, and then he throws like 3 after you. Like,
and you know who his style is very similar to also? Like I said, he's the prototypical Puerto Rican style. Edwin Rosario, Hall of Famer, another guy that we talked about on this podcast in his greatest performances, where they keep coming and coming. The difference is Rosario's power punch with his right hand. Vasquez, it's all about that left hook. While he has decent power with his right, it's the left that kills you. And God, Lord, he hammered Perez with those lefts. And now he's the new super bantamweight champion. And he had a tremendous run as a super bantamweight champion. He had a tremendous run after he knocked out Raul Perez. Before we talk about his next fight, he successfully defended that 9 times. 9 times. He held the title. Yeah, he held the title for 3 years, and he defended it 9 times. And he fought a who's who of tremendous super bantamweights. And the first guy he would defend against is a former world champion in Thierry Jacob, the Frenchman. And Thierry Jacob, decent boxer. And another thing I want to talk about with Wilfredo Vasquez, he does what a lot of great fighters have done in the past. And we've spoken about this. Great fighters that they go all over the world. They go to your backyard. He's not afraid to go to Vasquez will go to your backyard and give you a title shot. Vasquez fought all over the world. Thailand, Japan, Mexico. Again, and then he goes to France to fight Thierry Jacob. And Jacob, when he boxed, was dominating the fight. Unfortunately, he kept getting into exchanges with Vasquez. And the first 4 rounds, Jacob was fighting beautifully. 5th round, he begins to slug with Vasquez. And Vasquez lands a beautiful right cross that chops up the chin below his eye, below Jacob's eye, completely bloody. And Vasquez, whose main punch is the left hook, began doing more right hands, aiming for that cut. And when the referee stops the fight in the 8th round, the entire left side of Jacob's face is covered in blood. It's just grotesque. It looked like the doctor wanted it to continue, but the referee said, "Nah, I'm overruling you. Fight's over." And he beats Jacob, and it was a tough fight for Vasquez. That he had to dig deep down because Jacob was much taller, much rangier, and quicker, and was boxing beautifully until, unfortunately, in the 5th round, he engages and gets cut up, and then Vasquez comes on, keeps adding pressure, keeps landing their right hand to eventually cause the stoppage and to retain his super bantamweight championship. He would give Jacob a rematch a year later, and in this fight, very similar to the first fight, except this time it was a more conclusive ending for Vasquez, as in the 10th round, he puts Jacob to sleep with a spectacular left hook, and that, for all intents and purposes, ends Jacob's career, and Vasquez continues to reign, a tremendous reign. He defeated, in a great fight, the only time he ever appeared on HBO, January 7th, 1995, his ninth and last successful defense of the Super Bantamweight Championship. He fought legendary Hall of Fame fighter, bantamweight Orlando Canizales, another fighter we talked about on this podcast. Canizales moved up to super bantamweight and was a prohibitive favorite. Everybody thought he's this great body puncher. He's much faster than Vasquez. Vasquez boxed probably for the only time in his career, boxed brilliantly and would beat Canizales inside with combinations because he's just as good an inside fighter as Canizales, but boxed, held, and won a 15-round split decision. Should have been unanimous. He landed, and then he outgutted and he outboxed the legendary Orlando Canizales in what was probably his signature win in his career. He defeats Canizales. Then he loses his title in his 10th defense. He loses his Super Bantamweight Championship. And after losing, a lot of people thought that his career was over. Antonio Cermeño beat him, and rightfully so. Cermeño outboxed and outslugged when he had to Vasquez, and Vasquez lost because the fight was in Puerto Rico, and it was a unanimous decision win for Cermeño. You don't lose by unanimous decision in your backyard unless you got your ass kicked, all right? So he definitely lost that fight, Cermeño, a few years ago was tragically murdered in Venezuela. Serrano had a very good career, one of the best fighters to ever come out of Venezuela. Serrano beat Vasquez, and now, once again, for the third time in his career, Vasquez is deemed done. People are saying it's over for him. He wins 3 more fights and then gets a shot at Eloy Rojas, another Venezuelan. Look, this guy fights a lot. He fights all the South Americans. Fucking Wilfredo Vasquez. Eloy Rojas, this was the 6th defense of his title, of his WBA featherweight championship. And Rojas, much taller. Rojas is like 5'8", 5'9". Vasquez is only 5'4 and a half. And you see the first 3 rounds, Rojas stays outside, and he just dominates Vasquez with that jab. 4th round, he begins to engage. In the 5th and 6th round, Vasquez staggers him with lefts and rights.
That's where it turns.
And, oh, my God. And he's coming back. And Rojas, when he's boxing, is dominating. But why he continues to take chances? In the 9th round, Logan, Rojas, way ahead in the fight, goes after Vasquez. And while he wins the 9th round because he outslugs Vasquez, he gets too comfortable. All he had to do was stay outside. He slugs with Vasquez, and which gives Vasquez an opportunity. And in the 11th round, the opportunity came to fruition as he landed a spectacular left hook that bounced Rojas off the ropes.
Oh, my God. But after that,
And then Rojas gets up, and a final left hook that puts Rojas' lights out. Vasquez becomes, at that point in time, let me see if I can get off the top of memory. He's now a 3-division world champion after the 11th round knockout, joining at that point in time in 1996, joining the likes of Wilfredo Gomez and Wilfred Benitez as 3-division world champions from Puerto Rico. He's been joined since by Miguel Cotto. And Miguel Cotto is the only 4-division Puerto Rican world champion. Oh, and Felix Trinidad is a 3-division world champion. So those are your 3-division world champions. At that point in time, he was only the 3rd. There have been 5 Puerto Ricans that have won world championships in 3 divisions. Felix Trinidad, Wilfredo Vasquez, Wilfred Benitez, Wilfredo Gomez. Look at all the Wilfredo.
Yeah, I know.
And Miguel
Cotto. Rojas was favored in this fight, right?
Well, because people thought Vasquez was done. Remember, he had just been beaten by Serrano a year earlier. So people thought he was done.
Amazing how, like, lackluster fights sometimes propel your career because they have a champion will take you because, oh, look, you lost this fight. Like Holyfield.
It happened with Evander Holyfield. He fought Bobby Ches. He looked hard. He looked done. He looked like a corpse against Bobby Ches. Tyson gives him a title shot, and then he knocks out Tyson.
I think it's a good way to get a fight. Have a shitty one.
But you know what? But it's not done on purpose. Vasquez was thoroughly outboxed by Serrano. Rojas, defending his title. This is a named guy. Big payday. The fight's on Showtime. Biggest payday for Rojas. I'll go in there. I'll put a former champion out the pasture. Good name on my resume. Nope. The other way around. Rojas retired after getting knocked out. Will come back 3 years later, but by that time he was too far gone to resume what looked like to be a tremendous career up until the knockout loss to Wilfredo Vasquez. Vasquez defended his WBA featherweight championship a few times, beat a few good fighters, and gave up the title to fight the WBO champion Naseem Hamed in what was Vasquez's first and only $1 million payday. It was a smart move by Vasquez. If he beats Hamed, boom, he's automatically a Hall of Famer. Hamed was one of the hottest properties in boxing at the time. But Hamed was too quick, too powerful, too young for Vasquez. Hamed just boxed circles around. It was probably Hamed's greatest performance. He boxed circles around Vasquez, and Hamed finally stopped him in the 7th round. And for all intents and purposes, Vasquez's career was over. Vasquez would fight a few more years, but he was done. Finally retiring in 2003. He was 42 when he retired. He actually won his last 4 fights before retiring.
How many knockouts of his wins? Probably most of them, right?
Oh, man. He had a tremendous 56 wins. Of his 56 wins, 41 were by KO.
Yeah. This dude wasn't going the distance.
One of the greatest punches in Puerto Rican history, which is saying a lot, because Edwin Rosario, Felix Trinidad, Wilfredo Gomez, and Miguel Cotto were tremendous punches. He's on that level.
Who, during his time, did he not fight that maybe he should have?
I mean, he fought everybody.
Yeah, he looked like he fought everyone.
He fought Miguel Lara, who, in my opinion, is the second greatest Colombian fighter of all time. He fought Raul Perez twice. He fought Nassim Hamed, who was at that point in time a superstar and in his prime. He fought Thierry Jacob, one of the best fighters ever to come out of France. He fought everybody. He fought Orlando Canizales, who was the best bantamweight of his era. He fought everybody.
So you think the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame is just because
the standards have gotten very strict? He's not getting it. Last year it went from 5 modern to 3. It used to be you could 5 could go in, now only 3.
Well, we're the only.
And
Hall
he
of Fame
can't go in
counts,
before
yeah.
Ivan Calderon. As far as fighting Puerto Rico, Ivan Calderon's got to get in before him because Calderon was a better fighter.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of guys in the International Box Hall of Fame that Vasquez is better than. Vasquez was better than Boom Boom Mancini, better than Arturo Gatti, better than Barry McGuigan. There are a lot of fighters in the International Box Hall of Fame that Vasquez is better, has a better resume, was a better fighter, period. But they got in under the old lax system. He's not going to be able to get in under this system.
So and the fighters that he lost to were some really good fighters.
His first fight was against a journeyman. He just started, so you got to take into consideration he had only been boxing for 2 years when he lost his first pro fight. He was green. He lost to Antonio Avilar, while Vasquez was a better fighter than Avilar. Avilar caught him, and Avilar was a former world champion, so there's no disgrace in losing to Avilar. Israel Contreras, former world champion that he got knocked out in the first round to. Antonio Semeno would be a 2-division world champion that he lost his super bantamweight championship to. And losing to Nassim Hamed. Hamed beat everybody except Barrera back then. So definitely no disgrace.
All right. Well, we got another one on the books here, man. So we're looking at the
Fury Wilder recap next week. Now, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say one of the fighters next week scores a spectacular knockout or dominating win. We might change it to Tyson Fury's greatest performances or Deontay Wilder's greatest performances. Well, because the undercard is bullshit. We're only going to be talking about Fury Wilder. So if either man comes up with a spectacular victory or virtue, also performance, which I don't see it. I see a very tough, gritty
decision
fight. Yeah, but if let's say Fury boxes circles around Wilder and wins 11 out of 12 rounds, then we will be doing Tyson Fury's greatest performances. Let's say Wilder knocks out Fury within the first 3 or 4 rounds, or a spectacular one-punch knockout later on. Then we'll be talking Deontay Wilder's greatest performances. Because to talk about the undercard makes no sense because the undercard is pure trash.
You know, the money that will be left on the table if Wilder loses is just, it's too hard to think about.
Now, last week, Logan made his prediction, 6-round knockout by Deontay Wilder. My prediction, and this is how I see it going, I see it very similar to the first fight, where Fury, because Wilder doesn't throw punches anymore. Wilder's just looking to land that one punch. I see Fury winning 6 of the first 8 rounds, staying outside, circling, and then between rounds 9 to 11, Wilder lands that right hand. Good night, Tyson Fury. And here comes the clamor for the Joshua Wilder super fight. My prediction, a knockout by Wilder between rounds 9 and 11. Logan's prediction is a 6-round knockout by Deontay Wilder. So we're both going with the big hammer of a right hand for Deontay Wilder.
My prediction is inside of 6. So he could get the knockout in the first round. I mean,
Well,
from my prediction,
if your prediction comes true, we'll be doing another greatest performances next week.
All right.
So
Sounds good,
we'll
man.
see. We'll see. But we'll be here next Sunday. We just don't know. We now if it's a 12-round war split decision like 18 months ago, then we'll be doing the whole show about just that fight alone.
What are the odds of this fight?
It's like 50-50 from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's a 50 fight.
I don't.
Yeah.
No one's a prohibitive favorite. It's a tough fight because Wilder is very inactive in the ring. He's looking to throw that one punch, and Fury is inactive as well. But Fury's going to do enough to win the rounds, stay away, and try not to take it. Now Fury's talking shit. His father's talking shit. Oh, we're going to come at Wilder. That's not happening. Stop the bullshit.
You know what?
You're not coming at Wilder.
Imagine if Wilder came out like Joshua did and starts jabbing. That would be crazy.
Wilder hasn't done that so he hasn't done that in so long. He has the ability, Logan, to do it, but he hasn't done it in so long. He's in love with that right hand. He's too much in love with that right hand.
I know, but he can end it, like inside of what I think is 2 rounds that way.
I agree. Wilder has a very good jab. He put it out the pasture.
Maybe he'll surprise us. That's what I'm hoping.
I hope so. But all I know is there's going to be a lot of tension in the air, and there's a lot on the line. Both fighters' legacies are on the line. We're talking huge money on the line, too, because the winner is looking at least to $50 million against Joshua to start with.
Yeah, big money, man. And I hope it's not like some controversial thing where they have to have a third fight. You know, come on, let's have a decisive victory.
There is a rematch clause by both fighters, so he might just exercise that shit.
I want to see it. So let's see a clear-cut winner.
A clear-cut winner, there shouldn't be a rematch.
Right. All right, man. So we'll speak next week. Have a good one.
Talk to you next week, big man. And for all the people out there that were in love with the history of racist slave owner presidents, happy President's Day to you guys and you guys only for tomorrow. Right?
All right, man. Thanks. Peace. Thanks, everybody.
Later. Peace.
Talk to you later.